Kelly Price just called black women the nastiest, most disrespectful people on earth. But here's the thing. She's wrong and she's right. Let's break this down. This isn't just about Kelly Price. It's about the history of gossip culture from Wendy Williams to the Shade Room and how being mean became a business model. So, to paraphrase what she was saying, she said black women are nasty, men who disrespect women are itches, degrees don't equal class. So this came after she was dragged online for how she looked at a performance, not her voice. She had these shoes on. They were mocking her appearance, the size of her feet, etc. Right? So the problem is, instead of attacking the system that thrives on humiliation, she attacked her own fan base, mostly black women over the age of 35 who've been riding with her since the 90s or at least early 2000s. So yes, there is a kernel of truth to what she says. Cruelty exists in the black community online. If you take a trip back in time to Gabby Douglas, who was only 16 years old at the time, she was torn apart for her hair and her looks. But that's not unique to black women. Every community has mean girl behavior. But for Gabby Douglas specifically, there was a lot of black women who kind of went after her, and it was really nasty. So that's why I say there's a kernel of truth to it. White men, they shame white women over their weight. White women, they bully each other, as we've seen in the movie Mean Girls, right? In Mean Girls, that was pretty much the whole plot. So in every culture, people find ways to tear each other down, whether it's the Latino community, right? Whether it's the Asian community. We all have, as humans, ways of tearing each other down. So her mistake was making this universal issue sound like it was exclusively a black issue or a black woman issue. So let's go back in time, before the Shade Room. Back in the day, let's just say late 90s, Wendy Williams kind of was the blueprint for meanness. Before the Shade Room or Gossip or any of these aggregation sites, before Tasha K, who am I forgetting? Funky Deneva, all of these websites, these Perez Hilton, all of these websites, there was Wendy Williams. And what Wendy Williams did was she commercialized cruelty, rumors, disrespecting celebrities, shock value type of insults. That became her brand. So she kind of was like a female Howard Stearns in a way, but towards the black community. And she kind of built a brand off of that. So, like I said, that blueprint spread. Perez Hilton, Gossip, Tasha K, Funky Deneva, and now the Shade Room. So being mean, it went from being something that was taboo, kind of behind the scenes, hair salon, barbershops type stuff, to being like a profitable industry where you can make a lot of money coming out with these salacious headlines or rumors or gossip. So now we move on and we evolve into the social media area. I mean, the social media era, where now we have the internet and everybody has a smartphone. So that means everybody can have an opinion on something. And sometimes the loudest voices get amplified. Whether it's right or wrong, these voices get put out there. So because Wendy made such a huge platform with her radio show, at the time, it was just a local thing, meaning like it was only the area that she was in. She was in a huge city, but it was kind of focused within that era. You know, the area, I said era, now I switch the names. It was within that area. But now, social media is global, it's worldwide. And cruelty can go viral instantly. We see this on Instagram. Some of us click on Instagram and we say, man, I shouldn't go inside this comment section. And you go into the comment section and you laugh at stuff that's cruel. And Instagram is a prime example of making cruel things go viral, right? So aggregation sites that live on sites like Instagram, that live on sites like all the social media websites, they kind of mirror Wendy Williams' formula, which is you take these clips and you put up a kind of shady caption, and it ignites the comment section, which, you know, people are going to go in. People are going to say the meanest things, because people tend to say a lot of things that are very mean online that they would never say in person. So it's built on humiliation. We've all seen the Shade Room or some of these other websites that will post a non-flattering picture of somebody, and they'll be like, yes, girl, get it, or whatever. And it's designed to kind of get engagement. It's shady. It's meant to kind of humiliate somebody, right? So many of these outlets, they're ran by a lot of women. They're ran by a lot of LGBTQ. And the commentary really comes from in-house. So I think that was why she felt like she had to go after the Shade Room. I mean, not the Shade Room. She had to go after black women, because this is something that's within in-house. It's not somebody else telling us. It's our own people kind of dumping on each other. And celebrities, they just have this cycle of getting put on these aggregation sites and being humiliated and just dealing with public mockery. And what ends up happening, the clip of the non-flattering performance, it gets shared. And then guess what? The celebrity goes off, and now you have the fan backlash. So this is what happened. She snapped. Now, many people say she was on a show, reality show. This is how the younger kids know Kelly Price, because of her reality show. But all of us that are 35 and up, we know Kelly Price based on her music and the stuff that she did earlier in her career. So this is why Kelly Price's, her aim was off, because she wasn't wrong to feel attacked. You know, the online ecosystem is toxic, and this is what goes viral. Being mean content is the stuff that goes viral. This is why you have some people that are just trolls, and they're very popular, and they ignite, and their message spreads louder than somebody that's telling you something that's valuable, but they have a smaller following. So what I'm saying is, she wasn't wrong to feel attacked, but instead of attacking the system, she attacked the very fan base that supports her, which are black women. So she could have framed it as, hey, look, I have a problem with these aggregation sites. I have a problem with these little websites that are just built to make people say mean things about me, you know, in order to get engagement. So this kind of reminds me of when LeBron was being heckled or called out or by some fans, and he was like, hey, at the end of the day, I'm still, you know, I'm going back home to a mansion. I'm paraphrasing. And you're going back to picking up trash or whatever it is, right? You're going to be a trash man. Like Brian's Discerning Thoughts. That's what you're going to be at the end of the day, right? Instead of saying, hey, why is the NBA pandering or coddling these hecklers that are in the crowd, and why do they enable it based on if the fan is paying for the game or they have special seats or season seats. Instead of focusing on that, he says something directly to fans who support him that pick up trash, and it's like, what? Why do I get it? Why do I get blamed, LeBron? Because you're dealing with a heckler, right? Why don't you go after the system? So I guess the bigger cultural point is that the real villain isn't black women. It's the profit system. It is the aggregation sites like Shade Room, like Gossip, like all of these other websites that their whole popularity is based on humiliating celebrities and just having, it's kind of like the mean girl section of the internet. Gossip blogs, Instagram, TikTok pages, and media outlets, they don't care about healing or fairness. They care about clicks, engagement, and virality. That's why Kelly's frustration is valid, but her response was tacky. It was sloppy. And that's why she kind of got the backlash. So Kelly Price, she could come out and kind of try to clear things up with an apology if she has PR. I'm assuming that's what's going to have to happen because majority of her fan base were black women. And if you call out black women, and these are the ones who are showing up to your event, and you call people out for DEI and all of this stuff, yet and still these educated women are the ones that are paying money to go drive and see you perform, because she has a beautiful voice, so I'm expecting that at some point she may apologize, right? Because she can become ostracized, such as a person like what is the lady that performed for Trump, and they kind of got rid of her because they said she's performing for Trump, so she's canceled. So the bigger conversation should be like, how do we stop normalizing these mean, like just being mean? Because I noticed that. I'm like, man, being on the internet, people are just naturally mean. People are just naturally going to say the first thing that comes to their mind, almost like a junior high school kid. So we gotta really ask ourselves, there's a kernel of truth to that, because as I mentioned earlier about Gabby Douglas, she was a little girl and she got humiliated. A gold medalist, a little girl getting humiliated about her appearance, right? And nobody really checked the culture for doing that. So this is an end result of that, right? Like, if we don't kind of call out some of the concerns that Kelly Price brought up, we just continue this cycle, right? And we continue to blame, because majority of the videos are going to say, yeah, Kelly Price is right, but they're not going to say it's either she's right or she's wrong. And that's not really how some things are. Some things are lost in translation. So if we don't interrogate the system, the cycle repeats. Kelly Price's voice is undeniable, but if she wants to be heard now, she has to stop fighting her fans and start fighting the culture that made being mean a business. Because let's be real, it's bigger than Kelly Price. It's about all of us. It's your boy Brian Discerning Thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think. I'm out. Peace.